Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. In this video we'll be answering one of the oldest questions in the game, that is, does base capping actually helps you increasing the win rate, or even in reality does it actually help you win games? And there are different versions. The newer players or not as experienced players would say you have to cap the base if you want to win, especially when you're bottom tier or mid tier, or maybe you're playing solo or you're new that you can't contest, you don't have enough knowledge, so base cap seems like an easier option. And part of the reason they say it is because when this game started, the first label on the screen was capture the base or kill enemies to win the game, right? And if the games tell you to capture the base, that's what you would think. And when you are new, you just follow instruction of what the game tells you to do. And hence the perception, we have to cap the base. But this game isn't about capping base, it's about fighting other tanks. So whenever you ask more experienced player or like the top players, they would always say the capping does not help you win games at all. In fact, there's no benefit to capping as well. And the way to win is you kill all enemies or kill all the tanks. But again, it just goes back and forth. When you're new, you're like, I am bottom tier, I'm grinding, I'm stock, I don't have any impact, I will just die if I go forward. However, I might be able to cap base. And that is again not completely true. And now I will go over everything in detail. So let's start. Why do you want to cap the base? First of all, we used to have long haul where you have to be in the winning 7 or the top 7 of the winning team so your games can count. It's no longer the case. And I'm saying long haul is because we don't really have ops that forces you to win directly, so there's no pressure for you to win the game. The wins come automatically when you get better at the game, so you don't have to actively trying to win. There's no reason to win the game. There's no mandatory op going on. At least most of the time. There are some like win 10 games or something. But one of the major or the time consuming op long haul has been changed a couple years ago, where you don't need to be on the winning team if you want to finish that op. Another reason is when you cap the base and there are too many enemy teammates left, you actually get less XP. For example, if you're grinding and you end up by capping the base in the first 3 or 4 minutes or 2 minutes, now you will get less XP than if you had lost the game towards the end of the battle while making significant contributions. So if you're grinding and you cap, you don't get much XP either. Another scenario is your team is winning, let's say 10-5, right? Or winning by advantage of 5 or 7 tanks. The battle just started and you cap again. Because you didn't kill the enemies, you won't get that much XP. So unless like the more damage you do in the game is how you get more XP. And if you don't do any damage, right, the capping is not going to give you too many points. And something like similar happened in this game. There are teammates on the enemy team that have capping from the beginning. We saw there was a dragon and there is another guy. And the score will be 4 versus 11. So I just want you to notice that it's a very tough situation. And there's constant pressure on the base going on. So going back to my initial initial statement, that if you want to grind, you need to have stay alive for the longest, as well as make contribution if you want to earn more XP. And you will also notice newer players that likes to base cap. If you look at their win rate, they'll have low win rates and higher average base cap points compared to one of the top players or the best players. They will have very, very limited base cap points and very high win rate of 65 plus. Like the bad players, probably 50 or sub 50, who kind of actively wants to base cap, they'll have, as you say, on an average more base points. But again, they might win few games here and there with the base capping, but overall your win percentage will be low. So it feels like it will win you the game, but that's not the reality. You have to do damage. And not to mention, let's say if you're base capping, that's what your goal is. For example, in this game, what happens is now there are 2 less tanks in the game that are just focused on base capping. You could have been helping the teammate. One particular example, for example, let's say you are a tier 8 in a tier 10 battle and you don't want to fight. You're like, I'm useless. You're not. The simple way to do it is how to play the game is how you want to win. It's not capping. What you need to do is look at your teammate, look at the type of tank you are. For example, you're a heavy tank. Look at the remaining heavy tanks in your team. Look at the top tier 1. See if there's anyone that has a mark or 2 or 3. Use that information to your benefit. For example, you're a Tiger 2. You look, you have an E100, similar like slower tank on your team. He has double marks. You go with him. You don't need to be in the front line. You just need to support him. Maybe a couple blocks from behind or holding an angle. So that guy, he knows he has 2 marks, so he knows how to play the game. He will be doing damage, but he needs help. So whenever he gets pushed, you just punish the enemy because they'll be focused on them. And if the opportunity presents that you have no match, then you can push with that tank and you'll have 2 guns. And no matter what bottom tier tank you are, you'll still be able to pen the enemies because there's 2v1 overmatch. So there are never any situation where base capping should be your mentality from the beginning. And that's what you saw in this game. The score was 4v11 and now it's 2v4. And the enemy team might end up losing the game because there are multiple tanks, like 2 now, then there was another guy, Dragon, who died earlier, who was also on the cap from the beginning. 3 less tanks, it gave them the illusion that they might win. If those guys, instead of focusing on the cap, they could have, if they pushed me or my platoon mate, they could have won. Now, as I said, it is a rare condition, like 4v11, you don't always win that, but you can obviously win, or the result is a lot closer because most of the bases, they are in the open. So you try to go cap the base, you will die, especially when you're in the heavy tank. And I have seen, like, for some reason, if you have to cap, right, it's a end game. Like, the only time I find it's acceptable to cap is if you are losing by 1 versus 5 and you see there's an opportunity for you to actually cap the base, as you can't, like, you're not, I guess, maybe you're out of shells, right? You're not the strongest tank in their tier. They're all tier 10s, you're tier 8. You see the enemy team is at A9, the base is at J1 in this map, like the standard base. And the timer is slow enough, right? And you're kind of like, okay, I can cap the base as they have slow tanks. They won't be able to come back to the base. And I can't fight those slow tanks head on. And this is my only opportunity. So then that's like the only situation where there's like all options are burned out, and in the end game, capping might win the game only because you can't really do damage anymore because not when teammates are alive. So that's the only situation where I find the base capping acceptable. Other than that, base capping, if you focus base capping, you'll have lower win rate. Weights capping does not win games. Doing damage wins the games. And that's what you'll see. People who care less about the win rate are the ones with higher win rate, or the people that worry less about base capping, those are the ones that will win. So let me know in comments what you think about base capping. In my opinion, the base shouldn't be available for, let's say, the first half of the battle, so 7 minutes or 8 minutes, and that's when the cap should appear so that there are no quick caps. That's it for today's video. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Have a great rest of your day.